Africa before colonization, the empires, the wealth, and the erased history. Welcome, family. Before we start, hit that subscribe and follow, because tonight we're going deep into the real story of Africa, the story the world tried to bury. Before the colonizers came, before the borders and flags, there was Africa, powerful, wealthy, creative, and united. If you were told Africa had no history before slavery, this live stream will change that forever. Because the truth is, Africa was the birthplace of civilization itself. So grab your seat, let's rewrite what they erased. Africa before the lies. You see, the idea that Africa was a dark continent wasn't born from truth. It was born from propaganda. When colonizers arrived, they didn't just take resources, they rewrote the narrative. They erased libraries, burned records, silenced storytellers, and replaced knowledge with stereotypes. But the land still remembers. The stones, the carvings, the ruins, they all tell the truth. Africa wasn't behind the world. Africa was the world, the center of trade, learning, and invention. Long before the Renaissance, we had golden cities. Before modern architecture, we built great Zimbabwe. Before astronomy in Europe, the Dogon of Mali mapped the stars. We are not descendants of darkness. We are descendants of light. West Africa, the Golden Empires. Let's start with West Africa, the land of gold. The Ghana Empire, not the modern country, but the ancient one, rose around the year 300. It was so rich that Arab historians called it the land where gold grows like plants. Ghana controlled trade routes connecting the Sahara to North Africa, dealing in gold, salt, and iron. Then came Mali, and with it, Mansa Musa, the richest man in human history. In 1324, when he went on his pilgrimage to Mecca, he gave away so much gold that it changed the economy of Egypt for years. But it wasn't just gold. Mali was a hub of knowledge. Timbuktu had libraries with over 700,000 manuscripts on astronomy, medicine, philosophy, and law. Imagine that, African universities when much of Europe was still emerging from the Middle Ages. Then came Songhai, a vast empire stretching across West Africa. It had provinces, governors, a professional army, and universities. Under rulers like Askia Muhammad, it became one of the most advanced states on earth. So when someone says Africa had no civilization before colonization, remind them that when Europe was still building castles, Africa had empires, scholars, and systems. The Nile civilizations, the roots of kings. Now let's journey north to the Nile, the river that carried kingdoms for thousands of years. Before Egypt rose, there was Tasseti, the world's first known kingdom, dating back to around 3500 BCE. It existed in Nubia, in modern-day Sudan. The people of Tasseti were skilled archers, feared even by the Egyptians. Their culture influenced Egypt's symbols of royalty and divinity. Then came Kush, the Nubian kingdom that didn't just survive Egypt, it ruled Egypt. Yes, African kings and queens sat on Egypt's throne during the 25th dynasty. They were called the Black Pharaohs. One of the greatest was Queen Amanirenas, who led an army against Rome. When the Romans tried to invade Kush, she fought them so fiercely that Emperor Augustus signed a peace treaty, recognizing Kush as an equal. These were people of power, diplomacy, and vision. They built pyramids at Meroe, hundreds of them, still standing today. But how many history books show those pyramids? Not many. The erased legacy. So why don't we hear about these kingdoms? Why aren't these stories taught in schools? Because for colonization to work, Africa's past had to be erased. If the world knew Africa had civilizations equal to or greater than Europe's, the entire idea of conquest would crumble. So textbooks were rewritten, archaeological finds were ignored, and generations grew up believing Africa started with slavery. But now, we're reclaiming it. We're bringing it back. Every time you share this story, every time you comment, every time you teach someone else, you're rebuilding Africa's memory. So, family, here's the truth. Africa's history didn't begin with chains, it began with crowns. We built kingdoms that stretched across deserts, forests, and seas. We traded with the world, led armies, mapped stars, and built monuments that still defy time. We were scholars before the world called itself civilized. We were artists before the world called itself cultured. We were builders before the world called itself advanced. This isn't forgotten history. It's stolen history, and tonight we took a piece of it back. If this opened your eyes, drop A in the chat, subscribe, follow, and share, because next time we go even deeper into the stories they tried to erase. Africa before colonization.